It means that any one Republican in the House can wield enormous power. And joining me now is a Republican who's been known to go his own way on occasion, Congressman Mike Lawler from New York. Congressman, congratulations on your reelection.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We do have so much to get to, including that margin, but I do want to start with the news out of Mar-a-Lago overnight, and that was Donald Trump's announcement that he intends to nominate Kash Patel to be his FBI director. Do you have any reservations about Kash Patel serving in that role?
No. Donald Trump campaigned on reforming the FBI and the Department of Justice, so I don't know why any of this is, frankly, surprising to people. President Trump has nominated in Kash Patel, someone who served as chief of staff at the Department of Defense, someone who served as deputy director of the NSI, someone who served as a senior staffer on the House Intelligence Committee. He was a federal prosecutor under the Obama administration, and so certainly has requisite experience for this role. I think there's no question President Trump made very clear that the Department of Justice and the FBI would be reformed if he was elected to a second term. And I think, obviously, with the selection of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, that's exactly what he's going to do.
Do you have any reservations about Patel potentially going after President-elect Trump's political enemies? Patel has a list of names in his book.
Look, I don't think the American people are interested in a revenge tour. But obviously, if people did wrong in their official capacities, then that's something they should be concerned about. But if they didn't do anything wrong, if they upheld the law, then there shouldn't be a problem. The objective here, obviously, is to reform the Department of Justice and the FBI and get it back to its mission of going after criminals. You know, growing up in New York, the FBI, in the aftermath of 9/11, was focused on going after terrorism. And obviously, in recent years, we've seen the FBI and the Department of Justice weaponized in a way that it has become completely political. That's not good for the American people. It's not good for our system of justice. The lack of confidence that Americans have in the Department of Justice and the FBI is terrible. And so, obviously, we want a system that is reformed, that works for the American people, and that prosecutes criminals. And that should be the objective and the goal of every American. And obviously, that's what my hope is as the Department of Justice moves forward under Pam Bondi and the FBI under Kash Patel.
If the goal is partisan neutrality, is Patel not a partisan? And it's also maybe worth noting, I mean, Christopher Wray was appointed by then President Donald Trump.
Right. And Christopher Wray's FBI then went and investigated Donald Trump. These charges have since been dropped by the special prosecutor. But again, Casey, these issues have been litigated in this election that we just had. Donald Trump talked about this for 2 years, so I don't know why anybody is surprised. The American people voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly, despite him campaigning on these issues. So, look, I'm not concerned about partisanship here. I think we've seen a DOJ and an FBI that have been weaponized. You look at the New York State Attorney General, Letitia James. She literally campaigned on prosecuting Donald Trump. I didn't see many in the media objecting to that. The fact is that our system of justice needs to be depoliticized. And unfortunately, under the Biden administration, we have seen it weaponized, and it's wrong.
All right, sir. We should note those charges were, of course, dropped because Donald Trump was elected to become our next president. But, sir, I know you also were eager to talk about the situation in the Middle East. And, of course, we saw that heartbreaking video from the Israeli-American hostage, Aidan Alexander. There also have been some comments from some of your colleagues on Capitol Hill, notably Lindsey Graham, who is, of course, a supporter and ally of Donald Trump's, who said that the incoming president wants to see a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas before he is inaugurated. Do you think that's a plausible reality?
Look, I think you're seeing very quickly world leaders come to the table. You saw, obviously, the Prime Minister of Canada fly down to Mar-a-Lago. You saw the President of Mexico respond very quickly to the President's tweet the other day about the issue of tariffs and cracking down on cartels. I think what you're seeing in the Middle East is movement. People recognize that Donald Trump is going to crack down on Iran in a way, frankly, this administration has not. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the illicit oil trade has exploded to over $200 billion. That is what has funded Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and other terror networks. Obviously, with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the IDF taking out the leadership of Hezbollah and Hamas, and President Trump coming into office, there is more pressure now on these entities to enter into a ceasefire. I think, obviously, it was welcome news that Hezbollah entered into a ceasefire. We'll see how long that lasts. But I think the bottom line with Hamas is very simple. Release the hostages and surrender. The United States needs to use maximum pressure, including on Qatar, to get the hostages out. It is outrageous that we still have 7 Americans being held hostage, 4 presumed living, 3 deceased. And this should be the top priority of both the current administration and the incoming administration, to get these hostages out. I have met with every one of these hostage families multiple times, including the Alexander family. It is heartbreaking to watch that video yesterday, and a shameful reminder that a terrorist organization has been allowed to hold 7 Americans hostage for over 400 plus days. It is outrageous.
Congressman, on the topic that we introduced you with, the incredibly slim margin in the House of Representatives, what do you say to all of your Republican colleagues, any one of whom could decide to basically grind the gears of government to a halt about what they should do with this power? And what do you intend to do with it? Would you be willing to, for example, I know that state and local tax deductions are very important to you. Is it something you'd consider holding up government over?
Look, the American people elected Donald Trump and majorities in both the House and the Senate for the Republicans. And obviously, the focus will be on the economy, the border, energy policy, the international crises that we are dealing with, tax reform, and spending and government reform. I think when you look at the issue of taxes, for instance, I've been very clear. I will not support a tax bill that does not lift the cap on salt. President Trump made clear during the campaign that he agrees that we do need to lift the cap on salt. So we're going to negotiate and work through that process. I think the key to remember, though, is there's no I in team. We all got elected individually, yes, but we got elected to serve as a Republican majority and work to get things done on behalf of the American people. I'm proud of my record in this Congress. I've been rated the 4th most bipartisan member of Congress. I've gotten 10 bills passed, 5 signed into law in a divided government, because I'm willing to compromise and work together. The fact is, all of us have that responsibility. There's not going to be a lot of room for error here, especially in the early months with 3 members down. So we're going to be at 217 most likely, or 218. And we'll need every vote to pass legislation, which means we got to compromise and work together. We're not going to get everything we want. Anybody who's ever been married understands the art of compromise. But you know, we got to work together for the American people.
The art of compromise, indeed. Can you imagine having 218 people that you actually have to get all on the same page? It's going to be